So ascension is the process of the individual awakening, remembering who they are, connecting in to those spaces within themselves. So, and the multi self. So that is a lot, but how it starts out in, and many of us are in this space, how it starts out is one begins to feel as if, and you may relate, many of you may be like, yep, been there, done that. Check that off the spot. I've already gone through that space. But first, you go through a space, I humbly believe, where you start to question things. You think there's got to be more. This doesn't make sense. There's no way this is it. I cannot be here for just wake up and work, watch a few shows on TV and then go to bed and wake up and do it again. This can't be the whole thing. There's got to be more. My being, my soul, my heart feels there has to be more. So that's the beginning usually. And sometimes everybody's different. Sometimes people who come into that space, it's almost forced by the body in a physical way. And I had a lot of that happening for me many, many years ago. My body had been under stress for so long of that system that is not designed for the human. And so my body was reacting and trying to get my attention and say, hold on, we're going down the wrong road. There's a better road, and this is not beneficial for us. And so I was able to hear my body and listen, and chose to redirect my path. And as I redirected my path, that was the beginning of my ascension. That was the beginning of my awakening, remembering there was more to me. And what's really fascinating to me is way back then when it started, I kept hearing in my head, remember who you are. And it was so weird. I was like, you know, that moment where you're just like, did somebody just say something? But you know, it was like inside you. So you just have a little moment. And now that I'm where I'm at now, I recall that and giggle. And I think, wow, you know, I was coming in even then, a version of me, my light team, my connection to God, coming in and trying to wake myself up. So that's the beginning where one starts feeling like this just doesn't make sense. There has to be more. And then also there can be the physical side of it where people have experienced such an onslaught of stress that they have no choice. They either go on medications for the rest of their lives, or both. They clean it up as they go along and maybe then get off the medications, but the body can only take so much, and it's resilient and extremely powerful. It will do whatever we ask it to do. If we stress it out to no end and we deprive it of what it truly needs, it will come forward and say, hey, hold on a second, this isn't working. And if we then turn the corner and say, oh, okay, I hear you, I love you, and I'm going to do a different path here, it responds very quickly. So ascension originates from us waking up and thinking there's got to be more, and then beginning to remember who we are. So it comes in to different parts of us. And the parts are like when you think of the mind, right? So that has to do with how you perceive experiences. Your initial take on something, you build a perception. I like it, I don't like it, and everywhere in between. And also the mind has thought processes, behavioral traits, programming. And some of this isn't even done purposefully by you. It can be done by what we see in commercials constantly telling us. If you watch TV, I don't watch TV anymore, but I did for a big part of my life. There's a commercial in the United States, at least, every 10 minutes, and it's telling you what illness you have and what drug you need, and it's repetitive. That's programming. And then there's programming through religion, there's programming through education. There's a lot of programming out there that we're just starting to understand has been in play for a very long time. So when you are in a space of ascension, you're in a space of awakening, you're also in a space of reprogramming. because as you awaken, you start to remember more of your wholeness, your light, your eternal being. You factor that into your physical experience in this now, and then you start the thoughts that are been running, the programs that are very, very established. You start analyzing them and you go, wait a minute, is this actually something I want to run? You begin to understand not only is it a mental awakening, and a spiritual awakening, it's a physical body changes, your energy body changes. Many may even be aware of the processes that have been out there forever, like yoga, meditation, tai chi, qigong. There's so many that cultures all over the planet have tapped into to utilize, embracing, focusing on the energy in the body and moving it and embracing it and bringing it in to integrate with the physical body. They're not separate, but many on the planet for a long time have been taught or raised, and they are. Some people, if you tell them they have an energy body, they will tell you you're nuts, or some people will know exactly what you're talking about. But all of the parts of the body are involved in ascension. I think sometimes we can get a perceptual view that ascension is all spiritual, and we become this moment, and all of a sudden we're like higher light, and we're going to go into another dimension, and we're going to leave it all behind, and we're better than we were. And there's probably some in there that we could say there's nuggets of truth, but at the same time, we're not really leaving our being behind. We're bringing our being with us. We're expanding our being, our consciousness, our light, even our physical body begins expanding, cellular, the nerves, the neurons in the brain, everything's expanding in ascension. I love that thought. I love being able to allow ourselves to take every part of us and know it expands as we ascend, as we remember. It's not pieces and parts, it's all of you. And yes, you vibrate differently, your energy shifts. And yes, that changes your experiences. It's all connected. And that's why I feel like there's this beautiful interwoven thread of self-worth, because many have been and or came in with programming, perceptional views, behavioral traits, ancestral generational cycles of energy, of lack of self-worth, of being unworthy. And many, and I'm not bashing religions, I think everyone should do what they feel led to do. But there are many cultural teachings and religions that even kind of come from a standpoint of judgment, of you're not good enough. You have you're born into sin, you are dark and dense, and you need to do this, this, and this to become better, to be light, to be good or whatever. So that in itself, in my humble opinion, is a form of programming. And I personally, for me, that was something I had to look into when I began to reprogram and choose what was going on, instead of maybe that which was kind of given to me and or shown to me many, many times, to where it became, oh, that's who I am. That's what we do. So keep that in mind as you are contemplating this whole concept of ascension and how it affects the different parts of your being. And keep in mind that it's fully connected to self-worth. Because as your being embraces, even contemplates and fathoms, imagines that you're more than this now line, that you're more than this title, this role, the job, the status, whatever it is. You're more. You're way more. You are light. You are eternal. You are a piece of God in this now, experiencing this space. When one is in that space of remembrance, of ascension, yes, of expansion, one begins to feel and connect with more of themselves. And in that space is your truth. And that's where the outside programming of not being good enough, the family cycles, the generational, whatever we want to call them, that's where that begins to dissolve. Because when one really taps in and feels, connects with one's wholeness, no one can talk that down. No one can say, but is it really real? You know it is, with everything in your being. You're feeling you, your wholeness, your light, other versions of you. So in the ascension process, as your thoughts are shifting and changing and your perceptions of concepts and experiences are expanding, your energy is expanding, your physical body is shifting and changing, you are tapping into more of you. And when you tap into more of you, you tap into more of that which you came from, that which is the whole of all, that which is the purity of light, the nothingness of everything, the 0 point before names and roles and cultures and planets and experiences. And when you touch that space, you remember your worth. And all of that was most of, I believe, very, I don't want to say lies because I believe they're illusions in the sense that they can be something someone in your family line believed many generations ago, and it came into the energetic line and stayed. And you could be the one showing up in this now to say, this is it. It's not going any further. I'm stopping it because it's not true. I know the truth because I know me, because I connected into my source and I know my wholeness. I can feel it. Nobody can take that from you. And so when that comes through, then that changes your perception. Perceptions create reality. Everything is energy. That's the neuro connections in the brain. That's the programming. So any programming that was put in there before, whether in you or any past generation before you, because you're all connected energetically to your family and so forth, all of that dissolves. It clears. Why? Well, there's a couple things going on, but one that I want to make sure I state is, think about it. Think about the vibrational space of a thought that says you're not good enough. That vibration, in my humble opinion, most likely doesn't even move hardly. It's so heavy. It's like a boulder. Boom. It's just there. You touch your soul. You connect within. You breathe in that you to this now. That you, that light floods in, that vibration. It's a whole new ball game. And this can't live, this boulder can't live. It has no energetic connective root in this. It can't. It dissolves that connective root. And now you're no longer hooked to the boulder. You are in your vibration of truth. You're in your higher light. And you're integrating, as you're ascending, you're integrating, you're drawing it in, you're anchoring it to this now. How are you doing that? Focus. That's your biggest friend. That's your best friend. That's your PowerPoint. Focus. What you focus on expands. And everybody can probably agree on this. If you've ever been in any type of experience that was uncomfortable, whether it was a confrontation or even a thought that wouldn't leave you alone, if you keep looking at it, if you keep talking about it, does it go away? Or does it seem to get bigger and more daunting and more uncomfortable? Focus expands whatever we place it on. So that is a PowerPoint, and that is something you can utilize in every aspect of your life because you are creating.